The third area and the final area that Jesus calls us to fully commit in is this area of unwavering commitment. He wants us to be fully bought in and have unwavering commitment. Verse 61 says this, "Still another said, I will follow you, Lord. But first," there's that language again, "but first, let me go and say goodbye to my family." Jesus replied, "No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God." You know, when Jesus says looking back here, the literal language in the Greek is the things behind. The things behind. We all have things behind us. We all have things in our past. We all have things that call to us, that we put away, we left behind, we've moved on from, but they still try to draw us back, right? They still, every once in a while when things get hard, they try to like, hey, but what about this road? What about this path? What about this comfort? Man, it's a tough road, Jesus, but what if you do this? This follower, once again, good thing, just wanted to go back and say goodbye to their family. Said, Jesus, I'm going to be fully sold out, committed follower of yours. I'm ready to hit the road with you, get the t-shirt, but Jesus, I just need to say goodbye to my family. Just let me go back and say goodbye to my loved ones. You know, I think there's something about sometimes the things that we go back to even just once hold us there for longer than we think. Jesus knew that this man going back to his family, maybe he would never meet Jesus on the road again. That he would be with his family, his mom would be crying and say, son, I don't want you to go. And I mean, it's gonna be tough in Jerusalem. And this man's weighing and saying, maybe I haven't think through things. Maybe it was my emotions. Maybe I wasn't ready. Jesus knew that this man going back home would have meant that he was not willing to ever be fully committed to him. And sometimes that's how it is. The thing we go, just one more time at the bar. I just wanna say goodbye to my friends. The game's on? Oh man, let me just finish the game with you guys. We're friends, right? You know, but I'm not coming back here again. No more. I said, this is the last time. And 3-4 hours later, you're there, you're more time, and you're more drunk than you thought you would be. What is it? You think, well, it's just one time. It's just going back. Sometimes you go back to that old relationship one time and you're back in that trap for a long time. There's different things, and they're not all bad. Sometimes they're good things that we go back to. Sometimes there's the right path and there's the easy path. And it's easy, the temptation of the easy path that tries to draw you back. When you're wrestling and you're following God on the path that he's called you to, and you're like, man, the life for my family could be so much easier if we just went back. And this picture that Jesus is giving is a farmer who's on the plow, and he has his hands and he's pushing it, and there's an animal in front carrying, and he's making this line, preparing for the work that he's gonna do in the field. But here's what's interesting. As they would plow this ground, the person that had their hands on the plow would have their eyes set on a fixed point in front of them. As they're making a line, if they would take their eyes off of what's in front of them, the fixed point, the line, of course, would not stay straight. I see this all the time with my little son. I don't know why he does this, but even this morning, he was running and we're behind him, and he runs like this. We like, Saint, don't, but he's just like totally looking back, running forward, and just walls in front of him. And it's simple and it's silly, but we're like, hey, Saint, like, let's look at Dada. Let's look at Mama. Let's not like run into the wall over here. And I'm trying to say, hey, it's simple, but when you look back and you're moving forward, you go off course. Jesus is saying, hear this. He's saying, you cannot be fully committed to me if you're still looking back. Some of you, for you to step into 2024 and be fully committed like no other time in your season is going to require you to cut some cords, to sever some things, to burn some bridges, and leave some things behind. Because if you hold on to that, you will never live the calling that God has for you. And in the moment, it feels better to go back and glance at the possibilities, but Jesus is saying, don't look back. Sometimes we flirt with the past or other seasons of what life could be, and Jesus is saying, don't look back. I'm not calling you to look back anymore. I'm calling you to leave those things behind. Leave that relationship behind. Leave that money behind. Leave that job behind. Leave that whatever it is in your story, you know, if God's speaking to you, you know that while you're trying to live fully committed, that every time you glance back, you go off course. I don't know why. And Jesus is saying, because when you take your eyes off of me, the road that I make straight is not straight anymore, because you take your hands and whatever you look at is where you go. He's saying you cannot look forward. You cannot move forward if you're looking back.